President Edgar Lungu's family's final attempt to prevent the repatriation of his remains to his country for a state funeral. The court ruled that no compelling reasons exist for the family to be granted leave to appeal, and there were no reasonable prospects of success in the Supreme Court. It's been more than 3 months since Lungu died in Johannesburg, and his family has been involved in a legal tussle with the Zambian government over where he should be laid to rest. To discuss this, we are on the line with legal expert Alude Xuba, principal attorney at Xuba and Associates Attorneys. Alude, thank you for joining us. How are you on this Wednesday? Alude, are you there? Okay, Alude doesn't seem to be there. We're going to try and get a hold of him and see if we can get analysis on this talk. Right, let's. Alude, are you there? I understand you're there now. Good morning.
Yes, hi, good morning, Asanda. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Maybe you muted yourself.
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened.
All right. No, thank you so much. Good morning to you and the listeners.
All right. So, what does this ruling mean for the Lungu family now, the latest?
Please just repeat that for me.
What does this ruling mean for the Lungu family?
Well, essentially, it means that, the court cannot overturn its initial decision, which had ordered that the remains of the late president should be returned back to Zambia for a state funeral. So basically, that order now stands until there's an appeal that is heard and entertained by the Supreme Court of Appeal. So as things stand right now legally, the initial court order stands and remains. So, yeah, until it is overturned by higher court.
What are the reasons for the ruling, and what legal guidelines apply actually when it comes to issues around estate burial generally?
State burials. Okay, let's first start with the appeal process. Mm-hmm. So from what we currently are faced with, former President Lungu's body has to go back home, and the family now has to, or if they're not happy with that, of course, they have to petition the Supreme Court of Appeal to set aside the decision of the court of quo. Now, we must remember this was a decision of a full bench of the High Court, so which means now you cannot appeal within the same court or have it reviewed by the same court. The next stop would be the Supreme Court of Appeal. And really, as things stand now, it looks unlikely that the Supreme Court of Appeal will rule in their favor or will overturn the decision of the full bench of the court. So going back to state funerals, a lot of states, in particular Zambia, regard presidents or former presidents as their own. They have, it's a benefit that they have control and ownership over. So as a former president or a current sitting president is regarded as an asset of a state or of a government, and really government has the right to burial rights or in respect of that person. But here it's a bit tricky because the family is insisting that we want to have this person buried by ourselves in terms of our own burial rights, and the government is insisting on that. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but generally the principle is that heads of state or former heads of state are an asset of the state and should be given a state funeral and in terms of the applicable military protocols of a particular country.
So as you say, the court saying there were no reasonable prospects of success in the Supreme Court. Are there, or is there any other available option then for the Lungu family, or have all avenues been exhausted?
All right. So the full bench of the court says there are no prospects of success of the case in any other court, meaning in the Supreme Court of Appeal. But now the family can petition the Supreme Court directly in terms of the Superior Courts Act and ask for their appeal to be heard directly by the court. We've seen in cases, for instance, with former President Jacob Zuma's case, the full bench of the High Court rejected his request for leave to appeal, and he petitioned directly the Supreme Court of Appeal, which entertained his appeal. So the doors are not entirely shut for the family. They can go straight to the Supreme Court of Appeal and petition them to hear this appeal. But it would be a very strong one. Sorry, it would be a very hard one for them because they have to really prove What is it that the other court did not look at, that the Supreme Court of Appeal will have to look at? Where did the High Court or make an error? So really here it's a matter of the law now. They have to prove that the High Court erred in the application and interpretation of the law. If that fails, then they can go to the Constitutional Court. But we've seen already they've done that, and the Constitutional Court rejected that request for direct access. But of course, it doesn't mean they still can't hear it. They just have to exhaust all the courts.
What about the application of Zambian law in this case? Was it adequately considered in your view? Did it help? Or did it further complicate things?
Well, we're dealing with South African courts. And South African courts cannot apply other countries' laws, so they had to deal with the matter in terms of South African laws, and of course having regard of what the parties really want. So yeah, that's Zambian laws cannot really be applied in the context of South Africa. I mean, that would be venturing into the terrain and sovereignty of any other country. So yeah.
The family, we understand, has been ordered to pay the costs. What is likely to happen next?
Of course, when you lose in any court action or application, you have to incur the cost. The losing party incurs the cost. So the family will have to pay those costs, unless, like I said, they still have another opportunity, still another avenue to go to the Supreme Court of Appeal and petition that court directly and appeal directly against the order, as well as the cost order. When they say they must pay the cost, I mean, these are the costs of counsel. So the family really has to do that. But like again, I keep repeating this. It's not closed out for them. They still need to. They can still go to other courts now, because this is a very interesting and a very rare situation. It raises quite a number of points of law. So most likely the Constitutional Court or the Supreme Court of Appeal, if properly argued, of course, they could give entertainment to the appeal. And they can appeal the costs as well.
Yeah, so what are the lessons here then? I mean, Lungu died on June 5th. This has been an elongated issue playing itself out like almost some Netflix documentary with all this drama. What are the lessons that can be derived from this case for future similar legal battles, the way you see it?
I think from an African perspective, I mean, burial rights and burial issues are very sensitive and very sensitive topics or issues. I think it's something that the government of Zambia and the family of the late President Lungu could have discussed and sat down before it even went to court and got to the stage where it has gotten. I don't think it really should have gotten to this point. It's something that really the parties could have sat down and discussed. So I think going forward in future, families need to really ascertain, particularly from a will's perspective, where they want to be buried. I'm not sure what the will of the late President Lungu provided for, but surely if his will had said he wants to be buried in a place of his choice or his family, surely no one could overtake that particular decision. So I think from a conciliatory approach, parties really need to sit down and talk about these things. It's quite interesting that the government is really going on and on and on about it, despite saying, no, we want to bury our son, our father. I don't think it's really a legal thing, you know. I think that's what we can learn from here is we need to really sit down and discuss these things. We've seen a similar thing, but it didn't really get to the court stage with Zimbabwe. You know, I think the family of the late President Mugabe wanted to bury him privately, and the government insisted that they want to bury him in terms of state protocol. But there was proper conversation and negotiations and discussions, which yielded to where we were. So yeah, I think that's my take.
Alude, thank you so much for your insights. We appreciate them.
Thank you so much, sis. Thank you.
Alude Xuba is a principal attorney at Xuba and Associates Attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us.
A fresh morning, a